Hello all. Thank you for joining us today for our health and safety presentation. My name is Michael Edwards. I am the Preventative Maintenance Supervisor here at United Pool and Spa. I have been asked to present a very important topic in regards to health and safety. Today we will be specifically discussing chemical hazards and toxic exposure, as this is a concern we face on a day-to-day basis at our company. Let's start by giving some details in regards to our company. United Pool and Spa is a commercial pool and hot tub company servicing hundreds of aquatic facilities throughout the GTA. Our company is located in Mississauga, Ontario. The company started back in 1989, founded by Mr. Richard Harding, our owner and CEO. We now have a team of 54 employees with 5 departments. These are preventative maintenance, service, mechanical, construction, and administration and HR. In the pool industry, if we do not take proper precaution and have adequate training, we may face chemical hazards and potential toxic exposure every day. This is a concern for all of our employees, but mainly we have identified that the preventative maintenance and service departments have higher risk of exposure. Here we have a basic pie graph showing the percentage of employees in each department. Our preventative maintenance department accounts for 24% of all our staff, and the service department is 15%. This indicates that 39% of our staff falls into the higher risk category for chemical hazards. Not to say that the remaining 61 do not have their own set of risks in regards to health and safety. However, today we will be focusing on water treatment chemicals. Chemical hazards can happen in many different work environments and pose a wide range of health hazards. Employees who are exposed to potential hazardous chemicals must follow the Occupational Safety and Health Administration guidelines to make sure that they are safe from exposure to these dangerous chemicals. OSHA regulates workers' exposure to chemicals through education and training, and through their hazard communication standards, which is designed to ensure that workers are informed about chemical and toxic substance exposure and required protective measures. It is the employer's responsibility to train their employees to safely handle these chemicals appropriately. There are many possible causes for accidental toxic exposure, mainly chemicals being stored improperly, causing leaks, toxic substances becoming airborne, such as chlorine gas and muriatic acid. Also, the mishandling of chemicals due to inadequate training or negligence. Labeling is a big issue. We must always ensure the manufacturer's label is attached to every container. If not, then do not use the product. If ever in doubt, do not use it. Symptoms of hazardous chemical exposure are as follows: chemical burns, itching, burning eyes, difficulty swallowing, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea, dizziness, headaches, fever or chills, or a rapid heart rate. Moving on to specific swimming pool chemicals. We frequently use multiple types of chlorine, such as liquid, gas, and different types of pucks, all of which come with their own set of risks and specific ways they should be handled. Muriatic acid is the main pH down product we use. When combined with water, produces a gas-off effect and is hazardous if inhaled. The mixing of these two chemicals produces mustard gas, an extremely dangerous gas which can be deadly. This is why it is extremely important to never use a product in a container that is not labeled. Even using the same scoop or bucket that previously had another chemical in it may be enough to generate a dangerous reaction. Now let's talk briefly about the do's and don'ts of handling swimming pool chemicals. The do's. Read and follow instructions carefully. If there is anything you do not understand, ask your pool chemical supplier for help. Containers should always be kept closed when not in use. Use separate clean metal or plastic measuring cups for each chemical to transfer or to measure chemicals. Wear appropriate protective equipment and clothing, including goggles, gloves, and footwear. Always add chemical to the pool water, never the other way around, unless instructed to do so on the container label. Wash your hands thoroughly after handling any chemicals. Use or handle chemicals in well-ventilated areas. Now on to the don'ts. Do not use contents of unlabeled containers. Do not mix different chemicals together. Do not put spilled chemicals back into their containers. Avoid touching undiluted chemicals with your hands. Do not expose to heat or flame. If a fire breaks out, do not use dry chemical fire extinguishers. Only use large amounts of water. If you cannot extinguish the flame immediately, leave the area and call the fire department. Proper storage of pool chemicals must be ensured in order to reduce risk of chemical exposure. Earlier, I mentioned improper storage is one of the most common causes of exposures. Here are some tips for safe storage of pool chemicals. Store in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. Store chemicals in original containers. Be sure your storage area is well ventilated. Vapors may build up inside containers in high temperatures. Nose and throat irritation and more serious respiratory problems may result if inhaled. Never store oxidizers and acids near each other. Oxidizers will release chlorine gas if they come in contact with acids. Do not store liquids above powders or solids. Do not stack the containers. Do not store materials or chemicals above your head. Do not reuse containers. Wash out the container when empty and dispose of it. If you or someone you are working with are exposed to any of these hazards, these are some of the steps you should take immediately after the incident. Immediately remove the victim from the source of contamination. Quickly remove contaminated clothing, shoes, and leather goods. As quickly as possible, flush the contaminated area with preferably lukewarm, gently flowing water for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Have someone call for medical help or advice if required. Consult the product label and the material safety data sheet on more specific first aid procedures. To summarize today's presentation, our key points are: coming in contact with hazardous chemicals is a daily occurrence at United Pool & Spa. Swimming pool chemicals must be properly labeled and stored. Chemical exposure is preventable if you receive adequate training and follow OSHA guidelines. Remember to always wear protective equipment. Learn how to recognize some of the possible symptoms of chemical exposure, report the incident to your employer, and follow the proper first aid steps. I hope you all found this presentation informative. Thank you for your attention, and please do not hesitate to contact me for any additional information. I am happy to answer any of your questions.